This is Radio Nepal. I'm Kaushal Khimire with the news. The headlines first. Chhath festival concludes after worshipping the rising sun this morning. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda vows to showcase Nepal's climate change issues in international forum. Qatar's Prime Minister optimistic about resolving Hamas hostage crisis. And Australia win ICC Men's ODI World Cup for 6th time. Now the news in detail. The Chhath festival concluded this morning after worshipping the rising sun. The setting sun was worshipped yesterday evening as major part of the festival. The 4-day festival is dedicated to the sun god and goddess Chhati Maiya. The festival is one of the country's major festivals and is predominantly celebrated in the Tarai Madhesh region. But nowadays it is also celebrated by people of hill and mountain regions. Yesterday the worshippers observed a fast, stayed awake all night and offered prayers to the rising sun this morning. Banks of rivers, streams and ponds across the country were decorated with colorful lights and flowers for the Chhath festival and were crowded by devotees. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda has said the problems suffered by Nepal due to climate change impact would be internationalized. Addressing a public gathering organized at My Court of Rukum East yesterday, the Prime Minister said Nepal would clearly put its views claiming for compensation, keeping in mind the huge damage the country has been bearing, although its role is negligible in climate change. Prime Minister Dahal made it clear that he has urged the international community time and again to significantly increase the funds provided by the International Fund to Nepal for alleviating the suffering from the climate change. The head of the government added that the relief that Nepal was entitled to get from the international community as compensation for bearing the brunt of the impact of climate change was Nepal's right. Prime Minister Dahal said the high-level government officials had been directed to prepare a document on behalf of the government claiming for large amount of relief from the Climate Fund. He assured of the government's support and cooperation in declaring My Court of Rukum East as an open museum and forwarding the necessary process. He also stated that an agreement had been reached during his official visit to China to operate special projects in some mountainous districts. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dahal has said the government had launched a meaningful campaign to combat corruption. In his address to a program organized by the CPN Maoist Center in Rukum East, the Prime Minister said the government's actions against land mafia and gold smuggling were in the interest of the people and the nation. He also underlined the need of unification among the Maoist parties to institutionalize the achievements of the People's War. Minister for Foreign Affairs, Narayan Prakash Saud, has said plans were underway to develop Dodhara Chandni Point in Kancharpur as a key economic transit hub not only for the Sudur Paschim province but for the entire country. Speaking at an event organized yesterday by the Kanchanpur Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Foreign Affairs Minister said the process had been already commenced for the construction of the Dodhara Chandni dry port and a 4-lane cemented bridge over the Mahakali River. The Nepal-China International Mountain Cross-Country Championship is to take place in Pokhara on the 25th of November. 10 teams, each from Nepal and China, will compete in the team events of the championship with the theme Race for Common Prosperity. The objective of the championship is to establish Pokhara as a sports city by promoting tourism in the lake city. You're listening to Radio Nepal's 8 a.m. English News Bulletin. Now on to some international updates. Qatar's Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani has expressed optimism about resolving the remaining minor practical issues in the negotiations to free the hostages seized by Hamas in its October 7 attack on Israel. According to international news agency AFP, the talks brokered by Qatar aim for temporary ceasefire and the safe return of the remaining captives. The Israeli response to the attack, which resulted in about 1,200 deaths, mostly civilians, has been a vow to destroy Hamas. The ongoing air and ground campaign has reportedly killed over 12,000 people in Hamas. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell has called for an unconditional release of all hostages and an end to escalating violence. The US is also working to secure a deal between Israel and Hamas, with President Joe Biden expressing mild hope of reaching an agreement. However, Israel has refused to heed calls for a ceasefire before all captives are released. Now a sports update. Cricket. Australia have become ICC Men's ODI World Cup winner for the sixth time after defeating host India by 6 wickets. In the match played yesterday at Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India made 240 runs for the loss of all wickets in the allocated 50 overs after Australia won the toss and decided to field first. Australia chased the target with the loss of just 4 wickets in the 43rd over of the match. This is the 6th time Australia have won the ODI World Cup. Australia had also won the World Cup in 1999, 2003, 2007 and 2015. Now the general weather forecast for the country for today. According to the Meteorological Forecasting Division, the weather will be partly cloudy in Gandaki province along with the hilly regions of the rest of the country. There are also chances of light snowfall at 1 or 2 places of the high hilly and mountainous region of the Gandaki province. With this, we have almost come to the end of this news bulletin. But before wrapping up, let's have a reminder of the headlines once again. Chhath festival concludes after worshipping the rising sun this morning. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda vows to showcase Nepal's climate change issues in international forum. Qatar's Prime Minister optimistic about resolving Hamas hostage crisis. And Australia win ICC Men's ODI World Cup for 6th time. Well, that's all the news we have for this bulletin. Our next bulletin in English will be at 2 in the afternoon. You can also listen to us online at our website, www.onlineradionepal.gov.np. Keep listening to Radio Nepal and have a good day.